Hello everybody, my name is Fortifier and welcome to episode 14 of the Ready Go Gaming Show. Today we're going to be talking about Sonic. Now that's a name we haven't heard about for a while. The last time we really got into the meat and bones of Sonic was the Sega episode back in episode 6 of the Ready Go Gaming Show. If you haven't checked that out, I strongly encourage you to. It's a great episode, it's probably one of my favorites, it's just a really good time. So yeah, we're talking about Sonic and I was really excited to do this because this is a mascot episode, right? Whenever you talk about mascots, you get to start from the beginning to where they are now, and then you talk about every game ever, and that's what's so cool. I'm so excited, beyond excited. There's a lot of games I did not know existed, so this one was actually really fun to make. And by the way, I didn't make it by myself. I have 3 guest speakers here who are going to be helping us talk about Sonic today. The first is Bag of Tricks, which is a name we haven't seen in a long time. That was all the way back in episode 2 when we were talking about RPGs. Bag of Tricks is a contemporary and retro RPG streamer. That is primarily what he does. Fantastic streamer, amazing voice, great friend, one of the first people I ever watched on Twitch, and it's always an honor and a pleasure to have him here. Next up we have Indie Kebab, now known as Farty. Our Super Dai, I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm probably an asshole because I don't know how to pronounce that, but he's awesome. He's one of my best friends, one of the closest people I know on Twitch. He's the person I can vent to, and oh, by the way, he's the audio engineer, so if you hear any audio problems, blame me, because apparently I didn't translate the magic good enough. Sorry, I'm just a boy. But no, seriously, Farty is awesome. He plays whatever he wants to play. For a long time, he was doing a lot of Dreamcast stuff, right? So he's doing like this journey in the Dreamcast and playing a lot of games. Nowadays, he does more Turkish streams. He focuses on role-playing with Grand Theft Auto, and occasionally you'll see him doing some other stuff. So he just plays wherever the fuck he wants, and he's really awesome. You should go check him out, and he has an amazing cat. True story. And while we're on the topic of grown men with a large abundance of feline friends, we have Tesseract E, who is one of my close friends as well. He is a producer of the Ready Go Gaming Show and a repeat offender contributor to what you see every single day. He's an awesome dude. He plays a lot of retro games, and just like me, he is an Antstreamer. And in fact, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have gotten into Antstream. If you're curious about Antstream, look at chat. Magic! You see that? I probably pointed the wrong way. Hopefully that timed in well, because if it didn't, I'm gonna look like a real fucking goon. Anyway, that's enough out of me. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the long history of Sonic the Hedgehog, the franchise, the mascot, the powerhouse that pushed Sega through the 90s, and unfortunately they don't do that anymore. But we still love them anyway. I'm gonna shut up now. See you on the other side.
Oh boy, Sonic. We haven't seen this guy since episode 6 of the Ready Go Gaming Show, which was also my first episode, so you should check it out. But as a brief recap, back in the early days of Sega, there was a mascot by the name of Alex Kidd. He was great and he did a lot for Sega at the time. But as time moved forward, the games he was involved in were lacking in quality, to say the least. Especially since Sega's main competitor Nintendo has this phenomenal mascot by the name of Mario. Chances are you have heard of him. This led Sega to want to create something new, something refreshing, and something that could dethrone Mario from popularity. Fast forward to 1990, and Super Mario Bros. 3 had just hit the shelves in the United States. And if you ask me, SMB3 is one of the best examples of what the NES is capable of. This was around the dawn of the 16-bit era, and with Nintendo putting its best foot forward, other companies knew that they couldn't fuck around or else they would be left in the dust. So Sega decided to mix it up a little bit. Alex Kidd is great and all, but the games were relatively primitive in comparison to what Nintendo was putting out, and Alex Kidd would not fit in the equation for the 16-bit era. So Sega had a competition to see what the next big thing would be, a mascot to represent the future and piggyback on the past. Tons of ideas were presented, some better than others. For example, Angry Overalls Chick, the Demon Jester, as well as the Dragonaut, a bulldog that looks ashamed because it shit on your carpet, an overly American wolf that looks like the villainous companion to the animal in the Dare commercials, a sleepy, totally not Robotnik, but definitely Teddy Roosevelt, but definitely Dr. Robotnik, a rabbit that looks like it was from Cuphead that was sent back in time to be a Sega mascot, and finally, Mr. Needle Mouse. Why Needle Mouse? The Japanese word for hedgehog, Hari-nezumi, is just a combination of the words for needle and mouse. Mr. Needle Mouse was created in concept by Naoto Oshima, a concept artist known for Phantasy Star, Spellcaster, Fatal Labyrinth, and more. The idea stuck. Sure, it looks stupid right now, but hey, that's the power of concepts, right? At around the same time, Yuji Naka was working on a tech demo which featured the ability for sprites to move really fucking fast across the screen, and Sonic was born.
Now that Sonic was a thing, they needed to get it out there for consumers to enjoy. Between Yuji Naka, Hirokazu Yasuhara, and Naoto Oshima, the elements were there to make an amazing game, but Sega's leadership initially wasn't too confident that the game would take off. Well, while Michael Katz in his infinite wisdom thought that it wouldn't be popular, Tom Kalinske, Katz's replacement, was thankfully a far better businessman. He pushed exposure for Sonic by making it a pack-in game for the Sega Genesis in 1991, leading to a 65% market share increase versus Nintendo. In other words, Mario and Sonic were about to go toe-to-toe for the next 10 years, and only one would come out on top. After the success of Sonic the Hedgehog, Tom Kalinske sort of bathed in the glory of pushing Sega forward in a competitive industry, and Yuji Naka was not happy at how little credit he received during the process. This led to Yuji Naka leaving Sega and being rehired by Mark Cerny at the Sega Technical Institute, and Hirokazu Yasuhara decided to follow suit as well. It's 1992 now, and it's time for a new Sonic game, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. This time we wouldn't only have Sonic, we would have another friend making his first appearance, Miles Tails Prower. Now, we will introduce the rest of Sonic's gang of miscreants when we get to the franchise section, but right now Tails is important. The inclusion of Tails gave us the ability for more than one person to play a Sonic the Hedgehog title at the same time, and ironically, STI, yes, that's the acronym, broke into teams to create another Sonic title while Sonic 2 was going on. This game wound up becoming Sonic CD for the Sega CD console. Get used to Sega doing that, by the way, because when you're going to go up against Mario, you need to make plenty of games, and boy did they ever pump out a ton of them. Given the success of both Sonic CD and Sonic 2, Cerny decided it would be wise to permanently break STI into two sections. The American component would be led by Roger Hector, who would eventually replace Cerny, and the Japanese component would be led by Yuji Naka. The Japanese team focused on Sonic 3, while the American team worked on other things such as Sonic & Knuckles, Sonic Spinball, and versions of previously released Sonic games for the Sega Master System, as well as the Game Gear.
Okay, here's the problem. Sonic was great on the Genesis. It was really fucking great. Unfortunately, as great as it was, it kind of came out too late. You see, Mario was present on the 8-bit console, and as time progressed, things got better. But with Sonic, the game was essentially the same every time. That's not a bad thing, but let's put it into a different perspective. Let's look at a baked potato. Sonic 1 is a baked potato. Sonic 2 is a potato with chives on it. Sonic 3 has sour cream. And Sonic & Knuckles adds cheese. Congrats! You fully configured your potato for maximum potatoage. Mario was a sandwich. Mario 1 was a cheese sandwich. Mario 2 was a ham sandwich that had two different types of condiments depending upon where you lived. Mario 3 was a Reuben, and Super Mario World was a submarine sandwich. See where I'm going with this? Sonic was basically the same, whereas Mario switched things up a lot more. Outside of the oddly specific time frame that Sonic was kicking ass, it really didn't make a huge impact past that point. Around 1996, the Sonic team was prepared to take the Sonic style that we knew and loved and make the jump to 3D, which can be daunting if you don't know what you're doing. But boy did they try. This is Sonic 3D Blast, which is an isometric style game, kind of 3D, but not really. And this game was the result of another game being cancelled, Sonic Extreme. It's clunky, but people enjoyed it. Many people think the first 3D attempt of a Sonic engine was around the time of Dreamcast came to fruition. But it was actually a lesser-known title called Sonic Jam, interestingly enough, that had something called Sonic World, which was a game that really consisted of time attacks, Easter eggs, and other fun things. TLDR, Sonic Jam was a compilation of the main storyline Sonic titles and a shitty tech demo that was snuck in there, like malware on your phone that you bought on eBay. But that was only the beginning of the jump to 3D. The only other remarkable entry was Sonic R, and if you can figure that game out, props to you, because that game was confusing as hell. It only goes up or down from here. You decide. Oh, and another key thing to mention is that like all Powerhouse series in the 90s, there had to be a TV show. And boy howdy were there some TV shows. In 1993, we had Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, with Sonic being voiced by Jaleel White. You might not know the name, but you'll know the character. Did I do that? Yeah, he did do that. It was a pretty successful show with the kids too, with 65 episodes. Then we had Sonic the Hedgehog, which was an American-Italian show produced by DIC, pronounced Deek, not Dick, pervert. The same people who did The Legend of Zelda and other memorable TV shows that revolved around video game characters. It had 3 seasons, and when it was canceled, people were genuinely upset, and rightly so, because the show was simply great. There have been 3 more shows since then: Sonic Underground, Sonic X, and Sonic Boom, which will be important in a few, so don't forget that name. They also had comics. Since they were making a franchise out of the asshole, it was everywhere.
It's the late 90s and the Dreamcast is attempting to take a stand against the Nintendo 64, PlayStation, and the Jaguar. Wait, did I say the Jaguar? That was Atari, so what do? Well, 3D is a must. At this point in gaming, that's the only acceptable standard. How about a story-focused game with some role-playing? Yup, Sonic Adventure was meant to be something like an RPG revolving around Sonic, but it instead became an adventure game, as did the sequel Sonic Adventure 2. And unfortunately, the Dreamcast didn't last long at all, which is truly a shame, because that was a powerful little piece of hardware. Advancing towards the early 2000s, Sonic team members were slowly leaving for other professional endeavors. For example, Naoto Oshima, the creator of Sonic, left to create Artoon, another video game company that developed titles for the GBA and other bargain bin titles. Sega was losing money really quickly, and in 2001, they let the public know that they would be shifting from being hardware developers and focus on making software only. Thus ended a quiet but powerful legacy of Sega gaming systems since the 80s. But by moving their focus to games, they were able to put more focus into their critical IP, Sonic.
Throughout the 2000s, they would release various titles that would expand Sonic's universe, such as Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic Heroes. They even bumped fists with SNK to create Sonic the Hedgehog Pocket Adventure with a Neo Geo Pocket color. And in an unusual turn of events, they teamed up with Dimps, which was created by departing members of SNK, and would go on to create a plethora of Game Boy Advance titles, as well as a few DS games. Compilations were made, and now it's time to make the holy grail of Sonic games. In the year of our Lord Naka 2006. Now there are a few things going on in 2006. In fact, there were 3 different Sonic games planned for the Sonic franchise: Sonic Riders, Sonic the Hedgehog, a reboot, and the Game Boy Advance port of the original Sonic the Hedgehog, all to celebrate the 15th anniversary of Sonic. Sonic Riders wasn't bad, it was just a racing game. That's fine. Sonic the Hedgehog on Game Boy Advance could be interesting. We already had a port with the Game Gear entries. But hey, retro games are awesome, so that's fine. And then, well, Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Colloquially known as Sonic 06. A game with a storyline so convoluted, and bugs that plagued the game, and an overall game speed that made you wonder what the actual fuck was going on. This title was doomed to fail from the moment that it was conceived. Sonic 06 is sometimes referred to as the worst Sonic game ever created, and during a milestone that was set to remember the franchise. It served to put a big black mark on the Sonic name.
2006 brought us Bully, Twilight Princess, Gears of War, Half-Life 2 Episode 1, Call of Duty 3, and a bunch of other powerhouse titles. Sonic 06 was simply horrible, and unfortunately only a glimpse of what was to come. From that point on, with each console came a new Sonic game, and an even weirder storyline that made absolutely no sense. From Sonic and the Secret Rings, to Sonic and the Black Knight, to Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood, it seemed Sonic simply couldn't rekindle the spark that he had in the early 90s. Since 2008, and since the massive failure of Sonic 06, none of the games that were released were very phenomenal. Then out of nowhere, they returned to their roots with the 2010 release of Sonic the Hedgehog 4. The downfall there was that it was episodic in nature, and the physics lacked the crisp speed of the original titles. But that didn't stop people from playing it. It felt nice for the series to return to what we all knew back in the day. But future releases would still be a mix between the good games and the not-so-good games. They would release Sonic Unleashed as a sort of pseudo-sequel to Sonic Adventure, but it was eh. Then they would release Sonic Colors, which was great. Then Sonic Generations, which was awesome. Next came Sonic Lost World, which was meh, and weird Olympic crossovers with Nintendo as well. There was also a running game and weird sequels. It was bad. The Sonic we knew and loved from the 90s was being mashed and molded into this weird cash grab worse than Mario back in the day. The difference is, Mario cash grab games were usually decent. Sonic games just felt like they dragged along, not really having any sense of direction.
But that all changed with the introduction of Sonic Mania during the 25th anniversary of the series. Sonic Mania rekindled the flame of Sonic. It brought back familiar memories, reminded us of familiar songs, and ultimately showed that Sonic was still somewhat capable of making a badass entry in the style of the original game, even if it wasn't developed by Sega themselves, but more on that later. Hell, if I could be honest with you, we, as gamers, don't need a fancy 3D world to love our retro characters. Give us Sonic 5 in the Genesis style any day and it will be better than most recent Sonic titles. The same can be said of Mega Man, Donkey Kong, and the like. These side-scrolling platformers were great as they were, and need to remain that way for a reason. But I digress. With the progress of technology, we are bound to see changes, but sometimes those changes just don't make the cut. Sonic is still alive and kicking. In fact, they even mentioned they would be releasing a new mainline Sonic game as well as a racing title. Unfortunately for many of us, Sonic was a powerhouse mascot in the 90s, but now he's just a whisper in the wind. But he has earned his stripes and he's definitely a respected member of the retro collective. Now, it's time to break down all of the Sonic games that we have seen throughout the years. Because there are so many, we are going to start by going through all the main console releases in order of release. Then we will cover the handheld entries and all of the 8 million spin-offs. Ready? Let's begin. Sonic the Hedgehog. It all began in 1991 with the Genesis release of Sonic the Hedgehog, and it was a global hit. This title was the golden standard for everything Sonic would be and would ever become. A powerhouse platformer that stood out among the competition. The game was simple. It was a two-dimensional side-scrolling platformer where Sonic collects rings and runs fast to clear the level as quickly as possible, while dodging enemies and attempting to get the Chaos Emeralds from Dr. Ivor Robotnik, a mad scientist who wants to power-fuck the world. Robotnik also has this weird habit of turning forest creatures into robots. He's strange, but we don't kink shame here. Anyway, the game was simple. Move to the right all the way before 10 minutes and if you have 100 rings you get an extra life. But with 50 rings at the end of the level, you could go to the special level where you could unlock a Chaos Emerald. The game was simply a masterpiece and some of the music in this game is some of the most memorable in the entire series.
Another thing to consider is that this game had two interesting alternate versions that were 8-bit variants for the Sega Master System and the Game Gear. We were going to cover these two in the spin-offs, but outside of a few major changes, it is very much the same as the first Sonic title on the Genesis. For example, some of the assets are different, the music has changed, and there is more focus on exploration. It's a fun version to play through. Plus, you don't need to collect all the rings and beat the special levels for the Chaos Emeralds. You simply collect them while you progress through each level. Then we had a really shitty Game Boy Advance version called Sonic the Hedgehog Genesis that failed to reproduce anything that made the first game cool. Programming-wise, it was a nightmare. Look at how stiff and janky this special stage is on here. It's rigid. Oh, and sometimes Sonic will stop running in place. Like 40 miles per hour to 0 on a dime. It's awkward. Then we had a pretty cool mobile phone revision of the game that looked cool and included 2 other characters that we'll get to later on. Sonic 1 would also get a 3D remake for the 3DS, and it made use of stereoscopic 3D, which was a gimmick for the 3DS, and surprisingly, it wasn't that bad. Check it out if you want a better handheld experience compared to the nightmare on the Game Boy Advance. Then, next up, we had literally a metric fuck ton of compilations the game showed up in. But because there's so many, we're going to talk about them closer to the end of this episode.
A year later, we would be exposed to the continuation of this storyline with Sonic the Hedgehog 2. This would be the second game to introduce the first of Sonic's many friends, and perhaps one of the most annoying computer-controlled characters in any 90s video game, Miles Tails Prower. Get it? Miles per hour? Haha. This is actually the second time Tails shows up, but we'll get to that in a bit. We've already explained Tails, but just as a refresher, Tails is a fox that in a single-player game is rubber-banded to Sonic. If you jump, he jumps. If you roll, he rolls, etc. The issue comes in the bonus rounds for the Chaos Emeralds, where Tails will lag slowly, causing you to hit spike balls that screw you out of rings. It's just genuinely annoying. Anyway, Sonic 2 picks up where the first game left off. Sonic and Tails are going to stop Dr. Ivo Robotnik, who again is obsessed with the 6 magic crack rocks to power his death egg. In a development sense, it wasn't too different from the first entry and was just as successful, if not more successful, than the first game. But hey, for once, you could play as someone else, even though at this point they basically handled the same. In terms of remakes or other editions of the game, there was an 8-bit version for the Master System as well as the Game Gear. By the way, we mentioned Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on the Genesis was the second appearance of Tails. Well, that's because Sonic 2 in the 8-bit variety actually came out before the Genesis entry. So technically, the Sega Master System and Game Gear versions featured the first appearance of Tails. The good news is that in this version, you could recover rings, where in the first version, if you got hit, that was it, your rings were gone. However, some of the mechanics in the game, like the hang glider, can be more difficult than a motherfucker. This game is also one of the few titles where you must get all the Chaos Emeralds to ensure that you save your friend. Fun fact, there was a remaster in 2013 for the iPhone which the developers consider the definitive version of the game because Tails would be given all his abilities from future games. If you love the Genesis, you're gonna love this one.
It's 1993, and by now the Mega CD has been kicking ass in Japan since '91, and the Sega CD has barely been scraping along in the US for a year. At the time, most of the titles that were out were really subpar FMV games limited by the Genesis color palette, and most of them were filled with fan service. That all changed with the release of Sonic CD, one of the greatest games in the franchise, and perhaps one of the most ambitious in the way it was presented. Basically, the elements of Sonic CD that make it so appealing involve time travel. Funnily enough, time travel was supposed to be in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, but they scrapped it and reworked it into the next title. Basically, the game has a past, present, and 2 future level designs, one good and one bad. It's absolutely amazing and groundbreaking for the time. The music in this game is powerful. The voice elements, they don't ever stay their welcome. The characters, well, we're exposed to 2 more new characters, Metal Sonic and Amy Rose, the girlfriend. You can't see it, but I'm doing air quotes. Anyway, for all Sonic games, the story is pretty simple. Dr. Robotnik wants the Chaos Emeralds in the first 2 games. The second game ends with Tails coming to save Sonic after he powerfucks Robotnik. In Sonic CD, Sonic travels to Neverlake, where in the final month of the year, a planet called Little Planet pops in to say hi. Robotnik, being the glorified poon that he is, decides to chain an entire fucking planet to a mountain. Because that's how physics works, I guess. Anyway, Chaos Emeralds are out and the Time Stones are in. It's a really good game. Just take our word for it and play it. Also, besides being an awesome title, Sonic CD was the greatest selling game on the Sega CD, with over 1 million copies sold. It's also worth noting that there are actually 2 versions of the soundtrack for this game. We still don't know why Sega USA chose to do it, but they hired Spencer Nielsen, David Young, and Mark Crew to write some rock and roll tunes to replace the techno music originally written by Naofumi Hataya and Masafumi Ogata for the game. There's fans of both soundtracks, and most releases include the option to switch between whichever soundtrack you like. So we recommend listening to both and seeing which one you prefer.
The next year we would hop back to the Genesis with Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which is a really cool title that was actually part of a much larger project. When we say larger, we mean huge. Here's how it went down. Sonic 3 was under development at the same time as Sonic Spinball, a game we will cover in a little bit. Also during that time, a game called Sonic & Knuckles was being developed. So we had 3 really interesting titles that came out simultaneously for the most part. The important thing to remember is that the Sonic 3 and Sonic & Knuckles are one whole game when played together. How the hell does that work though? Well, Sonic & Knuckles was a unique cart that has a flip top that allows you to mount Sonic 3 on top, like this. But if that worked for Sonic 3, then maybe... oh, fuck. Sonic & Knuckles actually interacts differently with various other Sonic games, or really any Genesis cart, but the Sonic trilogy is usually the go-to for this. If you were to put on Sonic 1, you would see a character saying "no way," but you can access the minigames from the title, colloquially known as Blue Spears. If you attach Sonic 2, you can play Sonic 2 as Knuckles the Echidna, a new character who can float across the sky and is a genuine badass. And finally, if you put Sonic 3 on top, you will have a full experience of the storyline behind Sonic 3.
But returning to the Genesis, Sonic 3 released and felt like the most refined old-school Sonic title, especially if we consider Sonic & Knuckles as part of it. The 2 games are very different though. Sonic 3 picks up immediately after Sonic 2 as Sonic investigates the crash of the Death Egg. Sonic runs into Knuckles, who's being a cuckold, and steals all the Chaos Emeralds. You can play as Sonic, our old friend Tails, or even both of them. With 6 zones and a cliffhanger, it sets up perfectly for Sonic and Knuckles. It's also worth noting that none other than the king of pop himself, Michael Jackson, composed some of the music for Sonic 3. Supposedly he quit the project partway through, and that's why it remains uncredited, but no one really knows the full story as Sega has kept pretty tight-lipped about it. When you start Sonic & Knuckles, you'll immediately notice the incredible shift in graphics for that era of gaming. I mean, it is beautiful. But unfortunately, with great beauty comes great difficulty. Hey, definitely give it a shot. Again, locking both of these games together is necessary to fully complete the story of Sonic 3. So remember that if you want to avoid cliffhangers. Ready to go isometric? I know I am. Or not, or whatever. It's the mid-90s and the Saturn is about to take off, but before that can happen, we need to make another Genesis game to bridge that gap. Bear in mind, it had been 2 years since the last main series Sonic title, so let's make a game that would come out on the Genesis as well as the next system, the Sega Saturn. That title would be Sonic 3D Blast, an isometric platformer where you had to go around and save flickies. Flickies are tiny birds originally seen in their own arcade game back in 1984. Yeah, it's a bit weird. Sonic Team took a page from their previous title for this one, meaning they had several games going on at once. And while this game was being developed, a different title named Sonic Extreme was being developed for the Saturn. However, when that fell through, they decided to just port Sonic 3D Blast to the Saturn as well. Here's a little extra factoid about this one. Sonic 3D Blast was actually developed by Traveler's Tale, because at the time Sonic Team was working on Nights into Dreams. Anyway, this game is wacky, and most people give it crap for its rigid controls. If you want to play this, then do yourself a favor, play the Saturn version. Trust me on this one. The music for the Saturn version is some of my all-time favorite.
Sonic Adventure. Now we're in the Sonic running forward era of games. After the lackluster sales of Sonic 3D Blast and the cancellation of Sonic Extreme, the Sonic team needed something different. Traditionally, Sonic was a left-to-right platforming game, and 3D Blast was isometric. But where would the future take us? Well, like I said earlier, it's time to run forward and get used to it, because this is how many Sonic games going forward are going to work. The game also has some basic role-playing elements that 2D Sonic games didn't really have. But basically, you run around in the overworld, and you're vectored towards individual levels, which consist of running and collecting rings and trying to prevent Robotnik from getting the Chaos Emeralds. Sonic isn't alone though. This game's cast consists of Sonic, Knuckles, Amy, and 2 more new friends, Big the Cat and E102 Gamma the Robot. This game was fucking awesome. It might look kind of silly in the footage, but trust me, this was the game back in the late 90s for the Dreamcast. Or you could have wound up playing the updated version that was ported to GameCube and Windows, which was called Sonic Adventure DX, Director's Cut. This update was just as awesome and featured updated graphics and some neat extras like access to all the Game Gear Sonic titles. If you had a GBA and a link cable, you could connect it to your GameCube and transfer these little fuckers known as chows. And no, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but they're basically little animals that you can raise and play minigames with.
Then we had the sequel 3 years later with Sonic Adventure 2. This time the formula was slightly changed by making the game more fast-paced and more action-oriented. This game is pretty fun. It brings back all the familiar characters and a new guy called Shadow the Hedgehog, who is the anti-hero to Sonic. Sonic Adventure 2 is divided into multiple stages that involve different characters too. Shadow and Sonic have platforming levels, and Tails and Eggman have these weird-ass shooting levels. Knuckles and Rouge the Bat have these weird-ass exploration levels. For the Dreamcast, this game was the tits. We could go over the plot, but honestly it's annoying, so we'll just do a quick overview. Robotnik has a grandfather who was always on his shit and breaks into a place to get a Chaos Emerald, but discovers Shadow and recruits him to conquer the world. That's all you need to know. The environments look great and the soundtrack was filled to the brim with bangers. There was also a GameCube port known as Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, which had updated graphics and more multiplayer options, at the cost of the online play that the Dreamcast version had.
Moving into the early 2000s, Sega decided Sonic wasn't going to be the only character in the spotlight. Remember how much fun we had controlling Tails and Sonic in Sonic 2? Those are rookie numbers. Let's bump it up to not 1, not 2, but 3 different controllable characters at the same time. Excelsior! This is the premise for Sonic Heroes, which was the first Sonic game to be released across all major consoles at the time, including PC. And oh, when we said you control a team of 3, try controlling 4 teams of 3! So each of these teams have members with specific abilities. For example, Knuckles is a power character, Sonic is a speed character, and Tails is a flight character. You have to go through many linear levels to prevent Dr. Dildo von Eggmeister from sending out legions of robots. It's the same basic plot Sonic fans are used to. Overall, the game was incredibly subpar, and it suffered from frame rate issues. Of all things, frame rate issues. And that wasn't all. Stuff would fall through walls, some graphics wouldn't even show up, all sorts of shenanigans. But hey, at least they would see these issues and fix them, right? They would never release a game where it was so broken it was borderline unplayable, right? Right? What's that I hear? Oh no, you've asked too much. You've expected too much of modern gaming. You've wanted to see Sonic grow into a beast of a franchise in a contemporary setting, and now we have this creature. This creature built of anger, of laziness, and of carelessness. You might have thought you were ambitious, but you overstepped your bounds. You have made a critical error in buying this game. Welcome to Sonic 06. This is the game that not only almost killed Sonic the Hedgehog permanently, but left a massive impact on the market for Sega as one of the worst, and I do mean worst, Sonic games of all time. Released in 2006, this game was supposed to revolutionize the way we played Sonic, and it was on the anniversary, so it had to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. But it didn't even come close to being that. It's a 3D action platformer and has some role-playing elements, but most of the time you're going to be falling through obstacles, dying, getting disoriented, or waiting to get through some of the most arduous loading times known to mankind. And you have to do all of that through 3 major chapters involving Sonic, Shadow, and a new edgelord character named Silver. All to go up against Dr. Eggs Benedict, who is yet again plotting world domination. The game takes place most of the time in a city with absolutely no direction, and 3,000 ways to die because of the game's programming. The rest of the time you're speeding around at the speed of sound in a trash heap mess of bad programming that makes you nauseous. The boss battles are poorly designed, and it isn't uncommon for you to get stuck in a wall somewhere. If you want to play this, then that's your decision, but we don't recommend it, and don't do it expecting a good game.
The year is 2008, and we haven't had a Sonic main course for a while. Not since we got fed that raw bullshit tartare that was Sonic 06. But a new Sonic game was on the horizon, Sonic Unleashed. This title was hyped, and many people saw it as the triumphant return of Sonic. Unfortunately, it sucked. But hey, silver lining. This game is infinitely better than Sonic 06. In Sonic Unleashed, you play as Sonic, who follows Dr. Pochas up to outer space and gets blasted by a laser created by the Chaos Emeralds that Dr. Pochas somehow obtained after, 18 years of trying to get them? These emeralds have their power drained from them, and Sonic has this weird affliction that turns him into a werehog as a result. So, most of the game is spent platforming either as Sonic or this coked out werehog where you beat the shit out of everyone. No joke, that's actually what the game is like. Also, in addition to regular platforming and running, you can now Tokyo drift around corners. Also, a key point to know is that depending upon the version of the game that you had different level transitions. In 360 and the PlayStation 3 versions, you had those annoying hub-ass worlds like in Sonic 06 and Sonic Adventure. But if you had the Wii or the PlayStation 2, you could navigate the levels courtesy of a map. So if you want more playability with more things to earn and explore, play either the 360 or the PlayStation 3 version.
Sonic 4 Episode 1 and 2, 2 years later, we would return to the roots of Sonic with Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1. That's right, episodic games. They were all the rage in the early 2010s, and I don't understand why. The last time episodes were successful was way back in the days of Apogee and ID Software with Commander Keen, Doom, and all those other legacy titles. But games in the early 2000s really loved to do it. Hell, Telltale games were notoriously popular for doing it. Oh, and I guess Square Enix is doing it now with the Final Fantasy VII Remake. But anyway, Sonic the Hedgehog 4 was a great game, and it even takes place slightly after Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Wait, does that mean we're actually getting an official Sonic canon with continuity? Be still my heart. Sonic 4 took the series back to its roots. Sonic running to the right until the end of the stage, beating the shit out of Robotnik and his goons. Exactly what a Sonic game should be. Change the variables sometimes from point A to B, but that's what a true Sonic title is all about, isn't it? Well, 2 years later, we would get Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2, made by Sonic Team and Dimps. That's right, the people we just talked about in the SNK episode of Ready Go Gaming Show. If you haven't already, go back and check that one out, it was pretty nifty. Anyway, Sonic 4 Episode 2 picks up with Metal Sonic being damaged but not destroyed after Sonic CD, and then it fast forwards to Sonic 4 Episode 1's events, and holy shit, we have continuity, boys and girls! Sonic 4 is a really cool game, you should definitely check these out. They are highly regarded for a reason, they are really good nods back to where it all began for Sonic and pals.
In between the 2 episodes of Sonic the Hedgehog 4, we had 2 other main title games that were released. The first being Sonic Colors, where Dimps came to help the franchise, and boy am I glad they did. For those of you who don't understand what Dimps are capable of, check out Dragon Ball Z Budokai, Shaman King Funbari Spirits, Inuyasha A Feudal Fairy Tale, and more. They absolutely rock at graphics, and this game you are seeing in front of you right now had a DS port that was done by Dimps, and it still looks good. It also controlled really well too, but one thing to remember is that this is a difficult game, so approach it with patience. It also introduces the concept of wisps, an alien race that gives Sonic power-ups that are contextual to the environment, and they all have specific colors, hence the title, Sonic Colors.
The next Sonic game would be released in 2011, directly before Sonic 4 Episode 2. This time, it was Sonic Generations. Generations was made to celebrate the 20th anniversary, featuring a blast to the past to prevent Dr. Over-Easy from fucking up outer space. So essentially, you go back in time to play earlier levels and worlds from the Sonic games, rescuing familiar friends along the way. If you enjoyed classic locations like Green Hill Zone, Death Egg Zone, Casino Night Zone, Tropical Resort, Final Rush, and more from the classic Sonic games of yesterday, then you'll enjoy this game. Plus, you can play it the classic way, a side-scroller, or the modern way, running forward like modern Sonic titles. It's an interesting mix that's hard to understand unless you give it a try for yourself. Thankfully, this is one of the more recent games that's actually worth playing, so we recommend you give it a shot. The year is 2013, and the Wii U is out and kicking. You know what the Wii U doesn't have? A mainstream Sonic title. Oh, and the 3DS could use one too. Enter Sonic Lost World, a mixture of side-scrolling 2D levels and really cool 3D levels. But at this point, we're already exposed to that formula many times. The story? Dr. Scrambled Man has enlisted the evil powers of the Deadly Six Zeti, who are trying to conquer the world. Again. 20 years of attempts. This game operates much like you would expect, with the ability to vary your speeds to do different maneuvers. If you run at a slower pace, you can control Sonic better, but if you sprint, you can pull off some pretty tight parkour moves. From a sales perspective, it was sort of lacking, but to be honest, compared to the majority of Sonic titles released in the past 10 years at this point, it was pretty damn good. The Wii U version in particular had some pretty amazing looking environments. We definitely recommend this one.
Wow, we are getting to the really contemporary now. Sonic Mania. Now, if you haven't heard of this game, you either weren't paying attention to the gaming during 2017, or you weren't watching Twitch because everyone and their brother and their dog was playing it, and for good reason. This is the most contemporary nod to the older style of Sonic, and they did it really well. But again, this wasn't Sega making this so much as letting a team of fans have a crack at it. And they did a damn good job. Much like Sonic Generations, this game took many of the older levels from Sonic, remixed them, updated them, and gave them a fresh soundtrack. A soundtrack that some people say sounds even better than the original. Plus, the original trio of protagonists, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles all returned with new special powers. Traditionally, Sonic could do the spinny boy and go fast, Tails could hover and do the spinny boy move, and of course Knuckles could as well, but he could also float like a flying squirrel and stick his sharp fingers into the wall and climb it. In this game, the biggest change was Sonic could do a drop dash and Tails could swim. Over 12 levels, with 8 of them being older levels, this game is a nice addition to the library. Remember kids, if you mess up a franchise, just go back and get a team of new people to remake the old stuff. It makes people forgive you. Also, online play, yes! You can play competitively for time attacks. Oh, and there was an update to this called Sonic Mania Plus that added more characters and even more content. What more could a 2D Sonic fan ask for? What's that? A physical release? Hey, it got that too. The final and most recent title to get pushed out for the Sonic franchise was Sonic Forces. Released on all modern consoles. It's similar to the previous games, but at this point, things are getting a little bit stale and we're starting to see things get samey again. Once more, Dr. Tamago goes out of his way to powerfuck the universe with his robot army. This time, however, you have 3 playable characters. 2 versions of Sonic and a custom character. That's right, you can create your own character to run around and do general debauchery with. Every Sonic character ever has made a return for this, and you are up against Robotnik's evil monstrosities in many different levels. We also see the return of a particular baddie that everyone loves to hate, Metal Sonic. They also had a unique DLC that was centric to the Shadow the Hedgehog called Episode Shadow. It's been a hot minute since we have seen him, but hey, if you are into challenging scenarios, try it out. Unfortunately, this game was also just another slapped together piece of garbo by Sega team. Oh well.
The first handheld Sonics were Sonic 1 and 2 respectively. We've already talked about them a little bit, but hey, I got a fun fact for you. Sonic 1 on the Game Gear and the Sega Master System were developed by Ancient. For those of you who don't know, Ancient was created by Yuzo Koshiro, and while you likely don't recognize the name, you will recognize his contributions. Let's do some auditory magic, shall we? Yeah, classy, huh? Changes everything. Yuzo Koshiro was the mastermind behind the music of Streets of Rage, ActRaiser, and some of the music from the early Ys games. But more importantly, he converted all of the Genesis sounds to work on the Game Gear. More you know, right? But the first game to not inherently be a port of an existing console entry would be Sonic Chaos, which was a run-of-the-mill Sonic game that you might not have heard of. It came out on the Sega Master System, but only in Europe, and the only way you could have played it growing up in the US was to have the Game Gear entry in 1993. It was developed by Aspect Company, who did all the sounds and music for the Fatal Fury entries on the Genesis. This title is also known as Sonic and Tails in Japan. It's pretty good. If you enjoy the other Game Gear Sonic titles, you'll love this one.
Do you like puzzle games? Do you like action-filled puzzle games? Then play Sonic Labyrinth. Then turn off your Game Gear, contemplate your life choices, and play Sonic Blast. The plot is weird. The game doesn't really give the player a way to properly control where Sonic goes, and it's just a title that's really hard to enjoy. I'm talking up there with Sonic 06 as perhaps one of the worst. Just don't. Trust me. Seriously, don't. Now this game was popular. Kind of. In fact, if you've heard of the last two games, you're a gaming legend, because most people don't even know they exist. But everyone seems to know everything about this next one. At least this is the one out of the group people talk about the most. But it certainly wasn't a financial success. It was a Game Gear title, but in Brazil, they got it on the Master System. It was also the final Game Gear title in the Sonic universe. It is your run-of-the-mill Sonic game, and many of the elements are similar to Sonic 3, including the ability to play as Knuckles. Imagine Donkey Kong Country graphics, but on the Game Gear, and that gives you a rough idea of Sonic Blast.
If you see the word Pocket in the game's title, there's a 200% chance that it's for the Neo Geo Pocket Color. Here's the thing about the Neo Geo Pocket Color. It was a last-ditch effort at keeping the Neo Geo alive by publishing games with the Neo Geo brand before the Neo Geo X was released. And that is the most times I've said Neo Geo in a matter of 10 seconds in my entire life. This would have been around the time frame that SNK was starting to Damn it, I wanted to try to make an SNK/sync joke here. Can you put that in the video? This would have been around the time frame that SNK was starting to sink financially back in the late 90s. Again, if you want to know more about SNK, check out the last episode of the Ready Go Gaming Show. When it comes to the game, this was developed and published by SNK with the help of Sega. It looks exactly like Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and most of the gameplay elements are practically the same, except they took some concepts from the other games as well. It's watered down to hell, but that's what you get when you put something so powerful on a weak-ass system like the Neo Geo Pocket Color. Unfortunately, more often than not, NGPC games were very, very poor reflections of what they were intended to be. This title was plagued with frame rate issues, but if you can look past all that, you're golden. Some people even say this is one of the best games on the Neo Geo Pocket Color.
Earlier, we talked about how Dimps worked on a relatively new game, Sonic the Hedgehog 4. Well, in 2001, they started working with Sega for Sonic Advance, and to be honest, for the GBA game, it's surprisingly solid. Dimps is a great developer. They always had a tendency to make really high quality games, and this game is no exception. It plays exactly how you would think, and this time you can play as Amy Rose with her massive band hammer. True story. This game came out around 2001, and as we mentioned earlier, 2001 was the turning point for the company. Sonic Advance itself sold 1.21 million copies. It also had a sequel with Sonic Advance 2 a year later. This time we had a few extra characters, namely Cream the Rabbit and her cow, Cheese. What is with these names? Anyway, it's a simple game, much like the final entry in the series of Sonic Advance games. But hey, if you have 2 copies of this and a friend with a link cable, you could play this together. That's right, multiplayer Sonic on the go. How awesome is that? Sonic Advance 3 was special because you could make your own 2-person, 2-animal team out of 5 characters, and each character had special movement mechanics that determined what paths you could take in each stage. It was pretty neat and received high praise at the time of its release.
Speeding to the DS, Dimps continued the Sonic love with Sonic Rush, which was basically a 2005 platforming game much like Sonic Advance. At this point, it was clear that they were basically recycling the same concepts over and over for each Sonic game, but changing around characters occasionally to give this idea of replayability or originality. It really was just a coat of paint, and not even fresh paint that was used over and over again. But then Sonic Rush came out and blew people away. They used 2.5D and pseudo 3D worlds for bosses, which was cool because you didn't see that in portable Sonic games at the time. Oh, and this one introduces Blaze the Cat, by the way, which is pretty nifty. This title was the 9th best DS game in 2006, definitely check it out. The sequel, Sonic Rush Adventure, will be released a year later and plays exactly the same with minimal changes. But hey, if you have a decent game, why change anything? Plus, it's 2006, what's the worst that could happen? Our big anniversary game crashes and burns and becomes the laughingstock of the internet, cursed to be made into memes for years to come? That would never happen to us, for Sega! As with all great franchises, there are times when they are destined to be used, abused, and put through the ringer to try and milk the good old cash cow. Sometimes it's the edutainment spectrum, sometimes sports, you name it, it was made. But before we get to specific genres, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the spin-offs that were made that rode the wave of success that Sonic was known for, starting with the Sonic Boom series.
The Sonic Boom series are action-adventure games, and it was really different compared to the rest. Instead of running from point A to B, this really turned things on their heads. The first game would be Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, which features Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy going through the same monotonous bullshit against Dr. Egbert Robofuck that they've been doing forever. However, if you look at how this game handles, it's infinitely better than Sonic 06, and that's where it stops. Unfortunately, this game sucks. Sure, it looks pretty, but when it came out, it was so broken, speedrunners beat it in 1 hour. Why? You could infinitely jump as Knuckles. Seriously. Then they fixed it, and what was left was a shell of a simple game that, again, didn't work. And this was 2014, it's full of Gex-level one-liners from characters, and it's bad. And to sweeten the pot, they made a sequel with Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal, taking the same game, making it worse, and putting it on the 3DS. The same janky-ass characters, the same slow progress, the same unrefined dialogue that begs to be brought to pasture. It's a rough one. And then, hear me out, they made another one. They clearly didn't know when to quit. It was called Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, which... it was more of the same shit, only slightly better, but it really wasn't enough to matter. Oh well.
Then we had the Storybook line of games. This series consisted of 2 different games, Sonic and the Secret Rings and Sonic and the Black Knight. The first game was Secret Rings, and it was a nifty 3D adventure title much like all the other ones and handled pretty much the same. Basically, it's still on rails like the others, but this one made use of the storyline elements of Arabian Nights. No, seriously, that's not just a snide comment. Sonic falls asleep after reading the book and starts dreaming. But is it reality? Who the fuck knows? Basically, you go after the world rings trying to fuck over Dr. Egomaniac all fuckwagon, or whatever form Eggman takes this time, and essentially you are going through this world within the storybook. It's similar to the sequel, Black Knight, where Sonic falls asleep after reading a King Arthur book. I wonder what would happen if he read 50 Shades of Grey. Would we get Sonic in the Pleasure Chamber? I don't get it. But hey, these 2 games realistically are some of the greatest games within the 3D universe of titles. So if you want to explore that side of Sonic, and not the Pleasure Chamber side of Sonic, we suggest giving these a try. At least the plots are kind of interesting.
In the midst of the Sega and console craze of the 90s, they released this magical tumor of a device called the 32X. Many systems had modular approaches like this, and to be honest, the 32X wasn't that bad in terms of hardware. I just think it came out at a bad time. The one Sonic game that would be on the 32X would be Knuckles Chaotix, and it's a fucking madhouse of a time. Imagine playing 2 characters at once, connected by an invisible rope that allows you to bounce, slingshot, and perform really unique movements that make the game stand out among the rest. Espio the Chameleon, Vector the Crocodile, and Mighty the Armadillo are just a few of the characters that were brought into the foray on this one. While the 32X wasn't that great in terms of sales or even that popular, this title alone was one of the few that you should play on it. It does carry a high price point though, so maybe just play it the old-fashioned way. You know what I mean? Wink wink.
Remember how we had a few games on the Game Gear? Well, this obscure game is centric to one key character. You can probably guess who. Knuckles! No, Tails. Jeez, it's in the name. Anyway, this game features Tails going to Tails Island to find a metric fuckton of irrelevant stuff using tools such as bombs and vast majority of other assorted goodies. It was a sister game to the Japanese exclusive Tails Sky Patrol, both of which are relatively obscure games that you have to really like Sonic lore to enjoy. It's essentially a Sonic game without Sonic. Oh, and he can't run, he walks. The entire game. He just walks. At a steady pace between slightly urgent and why the fuck did you buy this game? Also, fun fact, there was an LCD game called Tails Sky Patrol as well. Here it is. See it? Nifty, huh? Wow, 10 out of 10. To be honest, these LCD games are a treat and a genuine time waster. So if you are bored, there you go.
Sticking to the topic of games centric to people who aren't blue, we had Shadow the Hedgehog for PS2, GameCube, and Xbox in 2005. Interesting game, weird presentation. Shadow was trying to be mature and darker than the other Sonic titles. And of course, by mature, we mean guns, explosion, death, and constant combat. Something that the more family-friendly direction of the Sonic franchise was not so keen on touching. It plays a lot like a contemporary 3D Sonic game in some aspects, but adds some new things to the formula. This was one of those titles where you either like it or you don't. It's not inherently a bad game, it's just different. And different can be good, especially to the tune of 2.6 million copies sold. We mentioned a few handheld entries over the course of this video, but we can't in good faith forget about the little PSP that could. Aww, look at him. He wants a Sonic game, you cute little thing. Come on, don't be shy. I've got a game for you. Sonic Rivals. Sonic Rivals was released in 2006 for the PSP. It was a side-scrolling adventure featuring Shadow, Silver, Knuckles, and Sonic. The game features different storylines that differ for all of these characters, so you have some replayability. Online play? No. But you did have local multiplayer, which was kind of cool. They also had a sequel for Sonic Rivals 2 a year later, and it's the same kind of getup, but with more characters. It's meh.
So you gotta go fast, huh? Well, let's go fast. Starting with the 1994 Japanese exclusive Sonic Drift. It's a really primitive racing game that looks like Mario Kart but isn't. It's literally a kart game, and it looks like this. So have fun. And only has 4 characters. Whoa, what was that? Oh hey, it's the far superior sequel Sonic Drift 2, also known as Sonic Drift Racing in the American. Nice! So yeah, if you haven't heard of Sonic Drift 1, then you can enjoy Sonic Drift 2 because it's infinitely better, adds more characters, and wait, it still sucks. But it's better. Remember that, it's better, okay? It has to be. It has the number 2 in it. What the fuck was that? No, seriously. Yes, which is why I'm glad we are playing a game that literally lets you run away from your problems. Sonic R on the Saturn, GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Windows. You run, you race, you win. Sometimes you lose. And honestly, if you own this, you probably hate your life. I don't know, this game has a cult following because of the title song alone. If you have played this, you probably remember how hard it is to know what the fuck is going on. Most of the tracks are intertwined within themselves, and it's a motherfucker to figure out which way is what, and the game is just... man, it's weird sometimes. But it was a fun title, and it's fun to make fun of it, so if you want to play this delightful game, give it a shot.
But if you're bored of running away from your problems, why not strap a hoverboard to your feet? That's the premise of Sonic Riders from 2006, and it was highly reminiscent of Anti-Grav, without the iToy BS of course. Essentially, you ride on something known as an extreme gear, a machine made with different types such as hover bikes, hover skates, hoverboards, and more. It's a racing game, but the interesting thing is that Sega included some characters from other great Sega titles that you should check out if you haven't, such as Super Monkey Ball, Space Channel 5, and my personal favorite, Nights into Dreams. It's a pretty cool game, and even had a sequel with Sonic Riders Zero Gravity in 2008. Same game, different characters, and an expanded story mode with 16 tracks. This game will easily suck up your time if you let it. There was another sequel in 2010 called Sonic Free Riders for the Xbox 360, but it was bad. Unfortunately, the controls were already kind of wonky, and they were even worse in Free Riders. Why? It used Kinect, so we don't really need to explain the issue there.
In 2010, Sumo Digital would team up with Sega to create Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing for everything under the sun, including the BlackBerry. You know, the handheld computer. Damn, I didn't realize those went into the 2010s. Anyway, Sumo Digital worked on tons of stuff, some of which were Sega related, such as Outrun, but Sumo Digital's major claim to fame would be the rise of Disney Infinity, a Disney ripoff of Skylanders, and working on games like Hitman, Hitman 2, and even Little Big Planet 3. Anyway, this game is a kart racer, and it looks really good and controls really well. When you think of Sega's take on kart racing, let this be your golden standard, because it incorporates a bunch of IPs from Sega and features tons of characters from each one. Ever wanted to drive your kart through maps of House of the Dead, Jet Set Radio, Future, or Sonic Heroes? Well, now you can. Want to drive people as Crazy Taxi, Sonic the Hedgehog, or Fantasy Zone? You can do that too. It's genuinely a good game, and you should check it out if you've got a chance. It had a gorgeous sequel with Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, which had vehicles that would transform into other vehicles such as a jet ski, plane, or the classic kart. Imagine Diddy Kong Racing on steroids and you have this title. Sumo would make their own individual racing game apart from the Sega All-Stars line known as Team Sonic Racing, which just came out last year. Looking at that footage, it's dope. Looks pretty amazing. How the racing titles can be better than the main console entries is beyond me, but hey, that's how it be sometimes. It was nominated for quite a few awards and it won Best Casual Game. Good on them!
Sonic has had some random-ass phone games, and if you know anything about mobile games, you know it's 50% fan service and 50% bullshit. Enter Sonic Jump, a vertical platformer that's practically Doodle Jump with Sonic. It even saw a remake in 2012, with the original having come out in 2005. As a mobile game, it isn't bad, so this one in particular is better at the fanservice side of things. Sonic Jump Fever, released in 2014, was a sequel, and given the fact that it was pulled from the market in 2018, this one might have fallen on the bullshit side of things. But it had a competitive multiplayer, so hey, if that's your thing, you might enjoy it. Then we had Sonic Dash, which was a runner game. This genre was made popular by Temple Run, and since then, if you can alter the model of the character, you have the formula for pretty much any franchise to take advantage of. Sonic Dash was exactly that. You just kept running, infinitely, until you run into a boss or some sort of specific challenge. This was followed up by Sonic Dash 2, Sonic Boom, and yes, it fully relates to the Sonic Boom lineage of titles. It's the same thing. Well, Sonic Runners was Sega's take on the game, and yeah, it's the exact same thing, running left to right with pay-to-play stuff, and it was a commercial failure. And as expected, a sequel was generated, for a price of course. Sonic Runners Adventure was changed a tad bit, and instead of paying for items in-game, you could buy the game, and surprisingly, it was a little bit better than the original.
No good series would be complete without the titular character trying to teach you some bullshit, and what better way to do it than on the Sega Pico. Ever heard of this fella? It was an educational system that had cards that were like books, and you had a pen and pad as well as a few buttons. This thing was dope. 40 found some old Pico games at his dad's house a few weeks ago. Pretty nifty, huh? Sonic would be featured in 2 games that revolved around the Pico, Sonic the Hedgehog's Game World, which had 13 minigames, and Tales and the Music Maker, which was a music production game. Then they jumped the windows with Sonic's Schoolhouse, which... Wait, is this? No fucking way. Is this Wolfenstein meets Edutainment? Ugh, man. You don't even play as Sonic, by the way. Then we had 2 more titles released for the Leapfrog system, Sonic X and Sonic the Hedgehog, with the former being a math game, and the latter, well, it's the Sonic the Hedgehog, except you have to do spelling. Many of these games are lost to time, so the fact that we dug up anything about them is somewhat miraculous in and of itself.
We've covered tons of different games during the course of this episode, but you know what we haven't covered yet? The arcade games. That's right, arcade games. And they are pretty damn cool, so let's hop into it with Sega Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, this game you see in front of you right now is one of the few arcade games made with Sonic as the main character. It's an isometric experience, much like Marble Madness, and features 2 more characters that you probably haven't heard of, Ray the Flying Squirrel and Mighty the Armadillo. For 1993, it's a pretty cool game, definitely worth checking out. The next time you'd see Mighty again as a playable character would be Knuckles Chaotix, but both Ray and Mighty came back in the Sonic Mania Plus DLC for that particular game. The Sega Sonic name would be exceptionally popular in Japan, especially during the Sonic craze of the early 90s, which allowed games like Sega Sonic Cosmo Fighter Galaxy Patrol, a 2D shoot-'em-up, and Sega Sonic Popcorn Shop to thrive. Additionally, there was supposed to be a game called Sega Sonic Bros that featured multicolored Sonics. True story. But there's even more Sonic arcade madness. The oldest Sonic game in the arcades was actually Flicky in 1984, which features Flickies, the little animal buddies that Sonic would rescue multiple times. Interesting game for the Sega System 1, if you ask me. Next we have Sonic's Thrilling Patrol Car, which was a children's ride. How about crane games? UFO Sega Sonic was just that, and yes, you can still find this cocktease in Sega Towers throughout Akihabara to this day. They never left. Also, the first 2 Sonic titles were released in arcades as well, but certain levels were removed, likely for time constraints. Do you like keychains? You can make one with Sonic Space Tours. Wanted to duke it out before Sonic became a staple of the modern Smash era? Sonic the Fighters. However, this one actually came to America going by the name of Sonic Championship, and it looks like an LSD fever dream. Got a gambling addiction? Sonic the Hedgehog the Slot Machine and Sonic Live. Like the Cyclone, you know, where you stop light in the arches? Sonic Spinner. Like Pachinko? CR Sonic. Into throwing basketballs at a static loop in the arcade? Sonic Sports Basketball. Like racing? Well, we already covered that one. They had air hockey, they had kids' rides, they had arcade adaptations of Mobile Port, Sonic Blast Ball, running on a treadmill with Sonic athletes, ride a ride and shoot ghosts in Sonic Ghost Shooting. The point is, if they could stick Sonic's face on a game, it became a thing. Plain and simple. And they were memorable parts of Japanese culture that still exist to this day. But there were more home console games released, for example...
One of the most frustrating pinball games to come across your face as a child. Served up hot and in living color on the silver platter of sadness. It's Sonic Spinball. It's pinball, but lacking. If you're an achievement hunter on retro achievements, my hat's off to you. This one isn't for me. It's slow. God, is it slow. Play Devil's Crush on TurboGrafx 16 instead.
Then if we went back even further, we had a puzzle title called Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, which was actually a Puyo Puyo title, but had the characters changed to Sonic characters for the West. And it's mildly addicting. Interestingly enough, this is another one of those titles that were shared between the Sega Master System, Genesis, and Game Gear. With 13 levels, it's pretty fun if you like to veg out with a good puzzle title, and it even showed up as a boss battle in Sonic Mania. You could play a game called Sonic Shuffle with your friends, and it's essentially a Mario Party clone and has a few mini-games that take place in a location called Imaginary World. Here's the funny thing, though. Sega had the help from Hudson Soft, the same folks who worked on the 1998 release of Mario Party, which was really nifty. But the issue is that it didn't really hold a candle to Mario Party. It was pretty, though, so if you want a Sonic game to play with your friends, check this one out. We mentioned Sonic Spinball, but there was another dedicated pinball game called Sonic Pinball Party on the GBA. Here's the thing. Personally, I feel that this game is 1000% more playable than Sonic Spinball. There's an arcade mode and a story mode, which is nifty, and finally we had an RPG with Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood, released in 2008 for the Nintendo DS, developed by BioWare. BioWare! The people who made Dragon Age, KOTOR, and other cool games. And even though the graphics are definitely a bit dated, it's a really cool game.
And of course, we can't forget the fan base that took the time to create Sonic indie games and likely contributed to games like Sonic Mania coming to fruition, such as Samari, which is an unlicensed port of Sonic the Hedgehog with Mario in it. True story. Hummer Team ruffled some feathers with it, but it's a hilarious game. If you wanted a more serious approach to replicating the magic of Sega and Sonic without it being an official game, then look no further than Sonic Before the Sequel and Sonic After the Sequel, created by Felipe Danaluz. Awesome game, incredible soundtrack, probably the best fan-made game for Sonic that I've played, ever really, and just made by a single person. Fantastic game. Awesome level design and cool features, like lightning flashing to reveal platforms, or a train that constantly goes through the level and hits you if you're not careful, with like a signal. Yeah, it was really cool. Really cool bosses too. Very, very complicated bosses that take a little while to figure out, and it wasn't just the easy, 8 hits to Robotnik and he's done. Plus, he also gets Supersonic, and there's like a secret ending for that. I mean, I listened to the soundtrack on repeat, like it's in like my playlist. It's on Spotify. This game alone was a light of hope during a time where Sonic was unfortunately shitty as hell, so having the opportunity to play this was pretty badass. Want to be weird? Let's be weird. This is Sonic Dreams Collection, which is a parody with games like Make My Sonic, which allowed you to make your own Sonic monstrosity, or Eggman Origin, which is a weird-ass game about the birth of Eggman. There's also Sonic Movie Maker, which is practically a porno simulator for Sonic, but hilarious. And finally, there's My Roommate Sonic, where you try to hit on Sonic. It's cool. It's so cool. It's weird. Finally, we had Sonic P06. All these contributed to the loving fanbase of the Sonic universe. Hell, even the creepypasta games weren't that bad. I also want to shine a little light on Sonic games being made inside Dreams right now, which is very exciting. There are lots of interesting things going on inside Dreams, and several of them are Sonic games. One of them is called Sonic Adventure, and it's fantastic. It has a lot of potential. It looks great. It feels great. It sounds right. Really cool stuff. I also want to talk about Freedom Planet for a second. Freedom Planet is awesome. It is Sonic if he also had a melee attack with crazy bosses and great music and good physics. It's a little weird, and it is definitely, it's even more furry than the Sonic universe, but it's a great time. I highly recommend Freedom Planet. Also, Sonic 3 Complete, the ROM hack, and also Sonic Mega Mix are also really, really great. Both very different. Sonic 3 Complete is essentially the best version of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, all as a single game as it was meant to be originally by Sega, with a lot of little extra options and things. And Sonic Mega Mix is a tour de force of Sonic games. There are long strings of rings and many, many enemies in a row that you're encouraged to constantly do the homing dash, or the homing spin dash on. And, you have that. You have different characters and very original levels, completely made up everything, but with assets that look like they're from Sonic 1 or Sonic 2. excellent soundtrack, and you'll find yourself like in these huge chains with like 400 rings and, popping 50, 60 enemies in a row, without touching the ground and stuff. It's like, it's really cool. They're doing some awesome stuff out there. The ROM hacks cannot be ignored, for real. ROM hacks are the shit.
Don't forget, there are 66 titles out there. We talked about all the independent releases, but we didn't cover the anthologies. If you ever want to play these games on a modern console, there are tons of options out there. If you want to get your Sonic fix, you have plenty to choose from. Sonic was a powerhouse mascot in the console wars in the 90s, a pivotal time in gaming history. It was Sonic versus Mario, and there's never been anything like it since.
While Sonic and Sega as a whole have become less and less relevant, their cultural presence is still very much around. Trust us, you'll see Sonic on subways, on buildings, on cans of soda. It's phenomenal to see how one name can shape the dynamic of gaming.
We may have talked some shit about some of the titles we discussed, but they are stepping stones in a legacy of gaming that molded our future in gaming. And we hope you enjoyed learning about them and maybe found some new games you'd like to try out.
That was a fantastic episode. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope that you saw some games that you have never heard of. That always makes me happy to see people in chat say, hey, I know a fucking thing about that. What is that? Sonic Chaos? Sonic Blast was on 2 systems? The kind of things adults talk about. Sonic. Again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this episode. If you like what you saw, leave me a like. Down in the comment section below, tell me what you want to see in the next Ready Go Gaming show. Maybe some factoid or memory that you have about Sonic. I love hearing people's stories. I really, really do. And as always, guys, from my family to your family, good energy, good vibes, fortify out. Keep the flames of hope burning and the flames of retro burning even stronger. Take care.